Brahmarishi Vashishta and Brahmarishi Vishwamitra, they worship Lord Ram. According to them, Lord Ram is like a bridge. And he's a bridge that helps you cross from this world to the other world, from the material world to the spiritual world.
जय धारी माँ। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा। हमारी ऑडियंसेस का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। आइए जुड़िए। आज का हमारा चैप्टर है एलिमिनेशन एंड इल्यूमिनेशन। ये चैप्टर 9 है और लास्ट चैप्टर है थिंक बिग टू ड्रीम बुक का। हम अगले महीने से आपके लिए लाएंगे शुभा जी की पहली किताब ऑफ द रामायण सीरीज रोर विद करेज। तो आज के चैप्टर पे चर्चा शुरू करेंगे। आज का जो चैप्टर है उसमें बहुत सारी प्रभु की लीलाएं हैं, तो वहाँ पे शुभा जी फोकस हमारा रहेगा। और इसमें डार्कनेस एंड लाइट का जो युद्ध हुआ उसके बारे में एक कल्मिनेशन है। डार्कनेस इज इग्नोरेंस and light is knowledge, wisdom, acceptance, surrender, sabr, strength, faith। क्योंकि ये इन लाइट के ऊपर खूब सारी लीलाएं हैं इस चैप्टर में। शुभा जी। जी जय सिया राम। जी 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 शुभा जी। जब जी यू कैन हियर मी शुभा जी?
Yes.
जी जी मामी शुरू कर जी।
Yes, बेटी शुरू करो। It's great to get our scholar back,
Yes.
our spiritual scholar back, our spiritual teacher back, spiritual author back. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Vilas.
जी
Grateful and honored to be here amidst you all, and it's always such a pleasure and such a joy to be on this forum discussing on the Ramayan, the Game of Life series.
जी
This particular section of the Ramayan is the culmination of the Yuddha Kand of the Ramayan, which is literally the last book of the Vedic Ramayan. And this particular section of this book is has deep insights into understanding how the war between good and bad is a continuous war. It's not that one time you conquer the bad, the bad never comes back. Like Ram was cutting the heads of Ravan one after another, and another head would come back. So so many heads of Ravan represented so many doubts that people have. The head is a seat of doubt, isn't it? People who have so many doubts, their doubts keep coming back again and again and again, until unless, especially when it comes to doing right and wrong. The only way we can deal with bad for good is if we just don't deal with the propensity for bad, but also the root of all the propensity, which is sanskar. So until and unless we deal with the sanskar, which is externally manifested as bad behavior, just by changing bad behavior is not enough. We have to change the root of bad behavior, which is our sanskaras. And that's what this whole story is about. That's what this chapter is about. Not just eliminating bad, but eliminating the root behind why we do bad.
शुभा जी, शमा, कैन आई प्लीज रिक्वेस्ट यू थोड़ा सा वॉइस, अगर आप ऑडियो थोड़ा सा चेक कर सकें तो।
Yeah, sure.
The voice is sounding a little distant.
It's good now. Let's try again.
Shubhaji, would you
Yeah,
like to?
is this
Yes.
better?
जी
Yes,
ठीक
it is.
जी
It
जी
is.
शुभाजी जी
Great.
जी शुभाजी माँ सीता सीता माँ ब्लेसेस लॉर्ड हनुमान जी कि जिस दिन तुम ये शुभ खबर लाए हो वो दिन सबसे शुभ होगा। आप उस लीला के बारे में बताएं।
Uh, when Ram killed Ravan and Rams asked Hanuman to go and inform Sita about the news that Ravan is dead.
शुभाजी सॉरी थोड़ा सा because we don't want to miss out on anything that you're saying.
Is the sound difficult from Dr. Vilas side, Shubhu's side, Shubhaji's side, or yours or side anywhere?
नहीं
Because
शुभाजी की आवाज
my voice seems to be perfectly fine.
ये ठीक है
Uh,
जी
my
जी
sound, yeah, I don't see any problem at my end. I don't
ठीक है
know.
जी यस शुभाजी देन मे बी आई जी
Should I go ahead?
Yes, please do.
यस प्लीज यस
So this particular section of the Ramayan is where Ram kills Ravan. After Ram kills Ravan, he tells Hanumanji to go and meet Sita and inform Sita of the death of Ravan and give her the good news. So Sita has been waiting for this good news for so many months, and she has been desperately praying and desperately waiting for um such a incident to happen. But Sita had to really wait for a long period of time. And finally, when when um, this particular incident happens, Ram tells Hanumanji to go and inform Sita immediately, and Hanuman leaves to inform Mother Sita. And when Sita gets this news, she is so touched. She is so happy that um, that Ram is dead and she can reunite back with her husband, Lord Ram. So when that joy that Sita experiences in her heart, the relief that she experiences in her heart, and the gratitude that Sita experiences in her heart comes out in the form of blessings. She wanted to give Hanuman something, but she had nothing with her. Even when you have nothing, there is one thing that everyone has. That is good wishes. That is heartfelt blessings. So Sita blessed Hanumanji that this day on which you have given me this news, it will become the most special day of the week. And you will be glorified and worshipped on this day. And
Mm.
Sita was so happy that she blessed Hanumanji that all virtues will reside in your heart, and Lord Ram will always shower his mercy upon you. So when Sita gave him this blessing, Hanuman was so happy and thrilled. When you touch somebody's heart, when you actually help someone um, with something they are not able to do for themselves, what you get back in return is a blessing. And that blessing is more precious than anything else in this world. To see Sita's blessings on Hanumanji is a very instructive lesson for all of us. When we help someone who is struggling with some phase of their life, what comes out from their heart is blessings. And those blessings actually help us deal with so much in our personal lives.
जी माँ माँ कहते हैं all I want is I want to be reunited with my husband. But प्रभु राम की लीला थी कोई. You go on to say harshness is camouflaged, is sometimes camouflaged love. That Leela is very intense. We need to, the limited mind, the human mind can't understand it. जी Shubhaji.
So we are specifically talking about the Agni Pariksha of Mother Sita. So I'll just quickly explain the whole context in which this story happens, so that everyone understands what is the mood of Lord Ram and why Ram acted in a particular way in that particular story. So to help us understand this, we need a little background that is not in the Valmiki Ramayana, but is the Kurma Puran. And also, this is a part of the Sthala Puran of Tirupati Balaji temple. Sthala Puran is a book which is the local story of a particular temple or a particular holy place. Those are called Sthala Puran. And Kurma Puran obviously is one of the 18 Puranas. So in both these places, this particular story that I'm going to share with you all is mentioned. And this story also is verified and very strongly supported by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is one of the incarnations of Lord Krishna, who appeared 500 years before. Of course, Lord Chaitanya being Lord Ram himself, he is verifying this story, means it is a bona fide and it's a very powerful story to understand this fact. So, at some point, Ravan was traveling on his Pushpa Viman. And while Ravana was traveling on his Pushpa Viman, he came across a mountain top on which there was a beautiful lady who was sitting and meditating. When Ravan saw this lady, he was mesmerized by her beauty. He jumped off the Pushpa Viman and walked up to her and told her that I really like you and I want to marry you. Come with me. That lady, her name is Vedavati. She told Ravan, I'm sorry, I have given my heart to Lord Vishnu and I will not marry anybody else except Lord Vishnu. So Ravan, he just didn't listen to her. He went and caught her hair to drag her along with him. And when Ravan did that, Vedavati, she took her hands and chopped off that section of the hair which Ravan was holding. And Ravan was only left with with a bunch of hair in his hands. Vedavati told Ravan, since you have touched me, I have become contaminated. And I am not fit for offering the Lord Vishnu. I'm going to end my life. But Vedavati told Ravan that I will come back and be the cause of your destruction. Vedavati self-immolated herself. It is explained that Vedavati reached the abode of Agni, the fire god. And Agni, he gave shelter to Vedavati. Much later, when Lord Ram was in Janasthan with Mother Sita, and Sita asked him for the golden deer, it is explained that Ram took Sita inside um, the house, the hermitage, and there Ram and Sita, they have a constant Agni burning in their house. They have, Nitya home it's called. And Lord Ram uh, invoked the presence of Agni there and handed over Sita to Agni. And Agni created Maya Sita. So that Vedavati who was in Agni's shelter, she now appeared as exactly looking like Sita. So the Kurma Puran calls this as Maya Sita. And the one that Ravan kidnapped was not the original Sita, but it was this Maya Sita, which was Vedavati. And Vedavati, who had taken a vow that she will be the cause of destruction of Ravan, she was kidnapped by Ravan. And eventually, when Ram killed Ravan, and Hanuman goes and tells Vedavati that Ram is killed Ravan, and it is time for you to reunite with him. Vedavati or Maya Sita came to meet Ram, and Ram refused to look at her. He didn't look at her at all. He told her that you have been here in Ashokvatika for so long, in Ravan's captivity, and now after so many months of separation, I don't know what your thoughts are. I set you free. You can go wherever you want, and you can choose to be wherever you want. And Ram didn't look at her. Of course, a lot of people think that this is Ram's harshness on Sita. But you know what this is? This is Ram's Eka Patni Vrata in action. Ram had taken a vow when he married Sita that he will be Eka Patni Vrata. He would take Eka Patni Vrata, that he will not look at another woman. Vedavati was another woman for Ram. Though she had the exact form of Sita, but she was not Sita. And because it was Vedavati that was standing in front of Ram, Ram didn't even look at her. Now, Vedavati understood. She had so much love for Ram, isn't it? Vedavati, two lifetimes she has been waiting to marry Lord Vishnu, isn't it? In a previous life she wanted to marry, and now she thought she'll get to marry Ram, but then Ram had taken a Ekapati Vrata. So he refused to look at her. And Vedavati realized, I need to wait a little more. So, therefore, she was the one who told Lakshman, create the fire. Ram never told her to create the fire. She was the one who told Lakshman to create the fire. And when she entered into the fire, she went back to the abode of Agni. And the original Sita was brought out by Agni back to Lord Ram. And then as soon as the original Sita comes out, Ram's mood changes completely. He is the same loving, compassionate, heartfelt husband that had lost his wife. He began to cry tears. He completely, melted in the presence of Mother Sita. And it was, so look at this. Two people who looked exactly same, but they are not same. And Ram treated both of them completely differently. The Vedavati, Ram treated with a coldness that he would have treated any other woman with. And Sita, he treated with warmness that he would have treated only his wife with. And then Ram accepted Sita. So that's the whole story behind the Kurma Puran's explanation. And then the Sthala Puran of Tirupati takes the story to the next level. The Sthala Puran of Tirupati says this Vedavati who went to Agni back, she was born in her next life as Padmavati. And she got married to Tirupati Balaji. And that completes the whole story, basically. So in her third life, she got united with Vishnu in the way she really wanted. And from then onwards, she has been as Padmavati, along with Lord Vishnu. That's the completion of that entire story.
Gee.
Wow, this is a great story. Tell us, how did you read all this?
So the Kurma Puran of this section of the Kurma Puran is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is a book which has the teachings of Lord Chaitanya and the life of Lord Chaitanya written in it. And in that section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this particular story of the Kurma Puran is quoted. And then you go back to the Kurma Puran and take references, and you actually understand that the Kurma Puran also says this.
So you spent all your life researching all this?
Yes, this has been my life, and I love studying the scriptures in a way that is cross-referenced nicely, gives clarity, gives so much of insights, and so much of satisfaction to the heart.
And where do you access all this literature? Is it available in a college, university, or where?
These books are available. So Gita Press, almost all the Puranas available in Hindi, Gita Press, and there are so many other authors who have written books on each of these Puranas, which are available. And of course, almost all major libraries in India today, especially the college libraries as well as central libraries, have a plethora of literature on the scriptures. I usually refer to Gita Press's books because they have very authentic translations of them. Books that are written by Srila Prabhupada, I refer to them. But there are many Puranas that are not written by Prabhupada. I prefer to refer to Gita Press translations of those.
Are the colleges giving this kind of courses? Are they running courses, degrees, so that this kind of literature, this civilizational inheritance goes from age generation to generation?
My humble attempt is, of course, right now as we know it, the colleges and schools don't teach this.
Oh,
But what I'm trying to do is that I have created courses that I teach in many colleges, as well as I've created a curriculum for a school from first to 10th standard.
oh,
And through this
wonderful.
curriculum, I want to teach scriptures,
Yeah.
through value education, basically. So my curriculum is almost completed, and there are a couple of schools in India and other parts of the world also that are very excitedly applying this curriculum in their school. Of course, it's not a part of the regular curriculum, but it is a value education, moral education part where every standard has one of my books as the textbook. And based on my textbook, I've created the workbooks, I've created teachers' manuals or PowerPoint presentations so that you can present this knowledge to kids in a way that is very applicable, very joyfully learned through activities and through fun learning, basically.
How about I'm deviating a little because I'm sure the listeners would be so keen to know where did you get this knowledge from and how do their children get this knowledge, the youth get it. So I'm just wondering while we go back to the chapter again, but why are you creating a course or let's say online college or online school of these studies? You can create an online Shubha Vilas school
Yeah,
online.
I my aim is eventually to develop an app that
Yeah,
has all these courses on it. So anyone
right.
who wants to access these courses get access to them through the app, basically. Because I felt
Right.
that that is the best means of communicating today.
Yeah.
Apps are very handy and apps are very useful. It's pretty secure and it's very easy to access on a phone. That's the long-term plan.
We look forward to the launch of that app.
Yes.
We look forward to the launching of your app. Are you
Yes.
making it? Is it under process?
Uh, just the research is on finding the right technology and the right people. So eventually, hopefully, by next year something should be in shape.
You put a team together, or are you doing it all by yourself?
I'm trying to put a team together. Yeah, just began the
Huh.
process.
Yeah. But why can't colleges and universities do a full course like this? Today, youth will be so very inquisitive to do it, keen to do it. And with Sanskrit, wherever Sanskrit is being taught.
Yeah, that's the aim now. Slowly, slowly, I'm approaching schools and colleges.
Thank you.
And with your help and blessings, we can go much faster and wider.
Why not? God's blessings, a very important cause, because that's what the new education policy is working towards. Is to bring this spiritual history. What is how would we call it? Is it history? What do we call it?
Itihas. I call it
इतिहास.
Itihas. History. Yeah.
हाँ, ये इतिहास ही है.
Yeah.
भारत का इतिहास.
Absolutely.
Well, we would love to be associated in any way with it. And Saina would love it.
Most
So would
welcome.
our team. इतिहास. भारत का इतिहास on demonstrative learning कितना जबरदस्त हो जाएगा.
I'm happy to collaborate whatever way and we can make these things
Yeah.
work wonderfully.
It will be great. It will be a great international contribution. It will be a national contribution. Bharat ka itihas. Very good. Superb. Well, God willing, why not take it towards that direction? That's sowing the seeds for the future. We have to create more Dr. Shubha Vilases.
Yeah, I'm happy to share.
Good. So we keep track. But there, Amar Chitra Katha kinds can also be done. Amar Chitra Katha kinds on Puranas like these.
Yeah. We need all types of knowledge
Yeah.
dissemination through
That's right.
courses, through
Yeah.
education, through books, through all mediums, YouTube, whatever, whichever works. Basically.
Amar Chitra Katha kind. See, it's a whole volume of Amar Chitra Katha kind, volume 1, 2, 3, 4. So
Yeah,
that
I'm
becomes a
already
whole
writing.
course.
I've written close to about 30 kids' books now,
अच्छा.
focusing on different aspects of our cultures.
So illustrative करके अगर अमर चित्र कथा kind, I'm just saying illustrative kind.
Fully illustrated.
It's easy
All
to
the
read and then it goes into languages. You have a
Yeah.
publisher for that? You must be having a publisher.
Yes.
You have your own publisher.
I'm working with multiple publishers.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So we're looking forward to a great future ahead.
Yeah, this lifetime is dedicated towards making our scriptures accessible, relevant, and very powerfully applicable in every phase of life.
You see, after what you said, Saina introduced another book of yours, which she talked about the book. As we begin, maybe we could look at after that book, start a whole series of course, class one, class two, so that then we invite the children on that. As we move on from the Ramayan to this book, could we not think about serializing that kind of a situation of class one, class two, class three, so that people automatically wo YouTube bhi banta jayega, becoming a YouTube lesson while it goes into this kind of history, but also children, because we have now 1,000 children from a Friday book reading who would be very, very interested. But 1,000 means 10,000 because their families will also join in. And if we could do something like a one class of this from after Ramayana, we have the book planned. After the book, we are ready now for this kind of a course. Once a month or once in 15 days, the same Ramayan course now becomes that the Itihas, Bharat ka Itihas. We could do that. We could consider doing this and serializing. तो उससे क्या हो जाएगा जो हम लोग इस demonstrative learning में कर रहे हैं, it's going live. See, it also automatically gets recorded as YouTube, and we could do that YouTube serializing 1, 2, 3, 4. While you do this, it gets going. People can go back and listen.
Sure, I'm totally open to it.
So, next book which Saina has announced, after that book, we could plan that and move on to Bharatiya Itihas.
Sure.
So, let's look at it. Because then we can all enroll, and we can enroll. Then we could have an enrollment. We could have an enrollment. We can plan the system. I think the team can sit down together with you, Saina, and the entire demonstrative learning team should work out the basic. How do we take this Ramayana, this episode towards Bharat ka Itihas? Bharat ka Itihas.
Absolutely.
I think that will become remarkable, and that can be later on translated. But we're speaking in English anyway. We can use it in English and Hindi. हम लोग mix भी कर सकते हैं.
Sure, I'm happy to do both.
So start thinking about it. We have the platform. Why not use it for largest good?
Sure.
Yeah, good. Carry on. Sorry, but I thought we're looking at the future. New Year is coming. 223, Bharat ka Itihas. The demonstrative learning offers a new chapter called Bharat ka Itihas. I think it's glorious. हमको करना जरूरी है क्योंकि ये सब चीजें हिडन है, कोर्सेज नहीं कर रहे. तो इट्स अ कोर्स हियर ऑन डेमोन्स्ट्रेटिव लर्निंग बिकॉज वी आर ऑल, हमारे सारे कोर्सेज आर ऑल ऑन एथिकल एजुकेशन, मॉरल एजुकेशन, एंड भारत का इतिहास से बेटर क्या हो सकता है. सो ओके, गो अहेड साइना.
जी शुभा जी, जैसे आगे चैप्टर बढ़ा, would you share with us? I'm just clubbing two aspects together which we can discuss. Completely Lakshmana's sacrifice, his त्याग, पूर्ण त्याग. उन्होंने तो अन्न भी नहीं शायद ग्रहण करा. निद्रा, उनकी जो अर्धांगिनी थी वो भी निद्रा में थी. सो उनका पूर्ण त्याग, and how Lord Dashratha also comes. If we can combine the two and we talk about the Leela there.
Yeah. So after so the first aspect of sacrifice. So Ramayan is a book of leadership. Leadership means responsibility. Responsibility means sacrifice. So leaders, every single person in the Ramayan, all the great heroes of the Ramayan are great leaders who show us by their example what it means to be a good leader. They show about the spirit of sacrifice. Each and every one of them, they are in the mood of sacrificing for the benefit of others, sacrificing for the service of others. And in this whole mood of sacrifice, it is such a powerful mood that pervades throughout the Ramayana. Whether it is Lakshman's sacrifice of not sleeping at all for 14 years, whether it is Urmila's sacrifice of giving up the company of her loving husband for the sake of service to Sita and Ram, or whether it is sacrifice of Dasharath Maharaj, whether it is a sacrifice of uh, Bharat, whether it is sacrifice of Shatrughna, the sacrifice of Sita, every single sacrifice of Jatayu, every single character in the Ramayana is uh, heading us and pushing us towards a mood of sacrifice. And that is why these stories of Ramayana are so inspiring because they inspire us to cultivate the mood of sacrifice in our personal lives, in our personal journeys. They inspire us to think beyond self interest, to think beyond one's selfish agendas. Ramayana sets a very high standard for a human being to consider. It sets such a high standard that very often it is daunting on us. I mean, can we ever reach there? Ideally, the standard should be very high. Because if we set a very low standard which is very easily achievable, then you won't rise to your full potential. Only when you have a standard that is so high, it is almost impossible to achieve. You end up achieving much more than you would have ever thought you can achieve, isn't it? And that is why we need to read the Ramayana. The mood of sacrifice of all these personalities is captivated very well in this last section of the Ramayana because it almost kind of culminates towards that. Sacrifice, if it is done in over a period of few days or few weeks, it doesn't really create impact. Only when something is done over a period of few years, that's when sacrifice is noticed. That's when sacrifice is very impactful. Therefore, the whole sacrifice of Lakshman, the whole sacrifice of all these personalities is very obvious in the end of the Ramayana when they have not gone back on their mood of sacrifice. This section of the story of the Ramayana culminates with Dasharath Maharaj coming and meeting his sons Ram and Lakshman. It is explained that Dasharath he died literally days after Ram left Ayodhya. But in this section of Ramayana, after the Agni Pariksha happens and Agni comes and returns back on the Sita, that time Shiva and Brahma appear to Lord Ram. And Shiva and Brahma vouch for the purity of Mother Sita also, but they also say there is someone else that is waiting to meet you. And that is when Dasharath Maharaj appears in his ethereal body. He is coming down from the heavens to meet Lord Ram. Dasharath Maharaj has spent the last 14 years in the heavenly abode in his ethereal body. And at this section of the Ramayana, Dasharath personally descends. And when he comes, he meets his son and he tells him sorry. He says, I'm sorry for what you had to go through in the last 14 years. And he begs forgiveness for his mistake of banishing Ram. It's very interesting if you look at it from the point of view of energy. There is a very nice concept in psychology called family constellation. This talks about how in the family sometimes energy gets stuck between two people. In relationships, sometimes energy gets stuck between two friends. In office, sometimes energy gets stuck between two people. What is this meaning of? What is the meaning of this energy being stuck? It simply means that in a relationship there has to be a flow of energy exchange. That I give love, I get love. It's a free flow of energy exchange. When relationships are good, the flow of energy back and forth is very, very smooth and very, very effective. But when there is a difference of opinion, when there is a big grudge or anger or a hatred or any such emotions that come into our relationships and it affects the relationship, Many of those cases, energy gets stuck, and many times, the energy that is stuck once, it is not resolved for 20, 25 years. And that energy being stuck not only affects your relationship, but it also affects the future generation. That is what the idea of energy being flowing freely in a family is all about, right? Uh, you can call it as Pitradosh, you can call it as whatever you want to call it, you can call it, But there is some energy that is stuck between two people. Like in this particular case, Dasharat Maharaj and Ram, the experience that they went through, there was some energy stuck. Dasharat didn't get a chance to say sorry to Ram. He comes down to the end of the section of the Ramayana, and he tells Ram, "I'm sorry." And as soon as he says that, and of course, Ram is so loving, so caring. Ram does not even he's not really hurt or anything like that. Ram is not really feeling bad for what happened to him, and he's not at all blaming the Dashrath for anything that he went through in his life. And that is when Ram, he tells Dashrath Maharaj that I had absolutely no no harshness or no hatred in my heart. And with folded hands, Ram was greeting his father. He is offering his respects to his father, and he is expressing gratitude to his father. Ram has absolutely no hatred towards his father for anything that has happened to him. When Dasharath sees his son in such a mood and in such a beautiful consciousness, he feels very proud that I gave birth to a son like this. He feels very proud that my son is such an exalted personality. So Dasharath feels relieved of the burden that he was carrying for so many years in his consciousness. And that is how Dasharath returns back very happily, very satisfied, and very peaceful. Human life is not meant to carry grudges. Human life is not meant to carry resentment like this. Human life is meant to be lived peacefully so that you can focus on higher things in life. Rather than allowing small dissension and pain to strangle relationships and to strangle your personal self-evolution.
Ji Shubha ji. Shubha ji, I'm going to take this forward with a few statements. And then we can, because it's a very intense chapter. And we would like to, but I would like that if you could cover it, अगर आप 5 मिनट और दे दीजिए तो सेशन को. तो फिर यहाँ से जब प्रभु राम माँ के साथ सबके साथ पुष्पक विमान में आगे बढ़ते हैं, all the vanaras are revived. फिर जब माँ what's touched me मैं आपके साथ शेयर कर रही हूँ. फिर जब माँ ऊपर से देखते हैं नला सेतु को, फिर माँ folds her hands and looks at the vanaras and folds her hands. That kind of love and humility. Then the expression of love. Some sacrifices are made invisibly. They're not spoken about. That's the Vanara women. फिर कैसे माँ सबको ले लेते हैं अपने साथ पुष्पक विमान पर. I'm reaching a point and then you can put it all together. Then, yes, we talk till here and then we go on to Lord Bharat Ji ka Leela. We talk till here. Ji. So, this Leela, how Ma is so moved by seeing the Nala Setu. Ji Shubha ji.
We often call Taj Mahal as a monument of love, isn't it? It was built by Shah Jahan after the death of Mumtaz, and we call that as a monument of love. But actually, if you really see, the real monument of love is Nalasetu, which Lord Ram and the monkeys built. That is the real monument of love because it was built with so much love and affection and with such a powerful intention and with no resources. When you have a lot, doing something like that is easy. But when you have nothing and the only thing that is driving you is love, that's a real monument of love, isn't it? uh, After the Taj Mahal was built, there was so much cruelty that happened towards so many other people at the end of building the Taj Mahal. But after this was built, the affection and love that Mother Sita gave to those people who built it, it's unbelievable. Mother Sita folding her hands in front of the Vanaras. It's such a powerful expression of gratitude. It is explained that when Taj Mahal was built, every single person who built the Taj Mahal, their hands were cut off, so that they could never ever build a monument like this again in their lives. And At the end of the whole building of the Taj Mahal, one guy he came to know that there's a this is what is going to happen to him. He's going to lose his hands. He said there is something on top of the building that needs to be completed. Can I just go and complete that and come? So they allowed him to go up. He went right on top of the dome and he made three holes and he came back. Till today, those three holes are there and nobody knows where those holes are. Nobody knows how to cover those holes. And till today, the water leaks right inside the monument. The pain that people go through when they have made sacrifices, when the leader respects that pain, respects the sacrifice, expresses gratitude for the sacrifice. That's the real reward for those who have made the sacrifice. The real When someone does so much of hard work to create a monument of love, you cannot do justice by just paying money. Paying money does not do justice to the sacrifice that has gone on. This offering respect, offering gratitude, folding your hands in front of them, that's what does the real justice for the sacrifice that is involved in building a monument of love so powerful. When the Vanaras returned, so when the Pushpa Viman was passing through Kishkinda, Mother Sita felt that yes, the Vanaras have done so much sacrifice for saving me. The Vanaras have done so much sacrifice in serving Ram. But there are some people who have done a greater sacrifice by letting go of their families, letting go of their husbands. That is the wives of the Vanaras. So the wives of the Vanaras seem to be there in Kishkinda, but their sacrifice is equally big a sacrifice. Not recognizing that sacrifice is actually wrong. When people in the army go to the borders and serve the country, people in the armed forces literally sacrifice their lives for the sake of the country. There are people at home who are doing a much bigger sacrifice to a great extent by waiting, by sacrificing their joys of being together. So much a sacrifice involved. Not recognizing that sacrifice is actually not recognizing the sacrifice of the people that are on the border, isn't it? So Ramayan actually makes is such a wholesome book. It's such a wholesome scripture that it not only recognizes the sacrifice of those people who did things actively, but it also talks about the sacrifice of those who passively sacrificed. Because in their passive sacrifice, there is an active intention. And that active intention is what Sita recognizes as a sacrifice. So Ramayan inspires us to look at every single person's sacrifice in the right light and fold your hands and express gratitude towards them. Giving money and giving wealth is so easy. But how many leaders are there in this world who fold their hands and say thank you? Very little. And that's what the Ramayana teaches us. One of the most powerful lessons on leadership is to recognize the sacrifice of people, and fold your hands, and salute their sacrifice.
जी शुभा जी शुभा जी हम आगे जब जाते हैं तो प्रभु कहते हैं, प्रभु tells हनुमान जी to go and see and sense Bharata's heart. And जब हनुमान जी वापस आते हैं एंड राम कथा सुनाते हैं हनुमान जी लॉर्ड भरता को, और जब वो सारा वो समा देख के आते हैं, आई एम जस्ट टेकिंग इट टिल देयर, देन फिर आप बताइए, देन जब वो एक साथ बैठ के खाना खाते and the lines on the banana leaf, yes, so till there.
So this section of the story of the Ramayan is a very sweet and a very beautiful section. So the sequence of the section is this. It's an amazing climax to the Ramayan, story of the Ramayan. A lot of people think that our scriptures are a little boring, The storyline is flat, the storyline is not so thrilling. But if you actually understand it, the Ramayana is actually a thriller, if you understand it in the right way. When Hanumanji met Sita, Sita told Hanuman rather, that she would wait for 30 days for Ram to come and rescue her. If Ram does not come in 30 days, she told Hanumanji, I'm going to end my life. Interestingly, as soon as Hanuman heard this, he began to panic because so much had to be done in just 30 days. So Hanuman immediately, of course, he did whatever he needed to do in Lanka, and he reached back to Kishkinda along with the Vanaras. So by the time Hanuman burnt Lanka, spoke to Sita and actually reached back to the shore of the ocean, and then they reached Kishkinda, it was 3 days. 3 full days got over from the date that Sita had given. And then Ram declared that let us go to the south. The entire army of Sugriv, the Vanaras, moved towards the south. What took them 3 days to reach up, it took them 12 days to reach down, because it was a whole army moving. When you have less baggage, it is faster to travel, isn't it? So the whole army reached in 12 days. It was 15 days already. And then Vibhishan told Ram that you should pray to the ocean god and invoke the presence of the ocean god, the blessings of the ocean god to cross the ocean. So then Ram sat there and prayed for 3 days. So that was 18 days. And then the ocean god appeared after 3 days, and then he gave permission to build the bridge. And the bridge construction took 5 days. The 800-mile long and 80-mile wide bridge was built in 5 days flat. So 18 plus 5 is 23 days. And the Ram-Ravan war exactly lasted for 7 days. On the 7th day, Ravan was killed. And that was the 30th day that Sita had given. And when Hanuman reached Sita, that's why she was so excited, because she had no idea whether Hanuman will actually keep that 30-day deadline in mind. And exactly on the 30th day, Ravan was killed. And interestingly, that the story doesn't end there. The day Ravan was killed, that happened to be the last day of the 14 years of exile.
Oh,
Bharat had taken the vow
wow.
that Ram doesn't come exactly after the 14th day, I will die. So now Ram, he saved Sita on the 30th day, but now he had to go back all the way back to Bharat by the next sunset. Otherwise, Bharat would end his life. And that is precisely the reason Ram asked Vibhishan for the Pushpa Viman, because he couldn't have walked back. It would have been impossible to reach back in one day. So therefore, they took the Pushpa Viman. And when they reached the very close to Nandigram, actually they reached Bharadwaj Muni's ashram, which was on this side of the Ganga river. And they had to just cross the river and then eventually reached Nandigram. Ram had promised Bharadwaj Muni that before I return to Ayodhya, I will come and visit you. So he had to keep that promise also. So Ram, the Pushpa Viman, got off in Bharadwaj Muni's ashram, and Ram told Hanuman, you go to Bharat and tell him that I am coming. So when Hanuman reached Bharat, it was already almost sunset, and Bharat was preparing to end his life because he saw no sign of Ram coming. He created a huge fire. He was going to jump into the fire. Imagine the climax of the Ramayana. And Hanumanji reaches exactly at that point, and he sits on top of the tree and he's seeing Bharat about to jump into the fire. And he's wondering, what do I do to save his life? And then he begins to narrate the Ramayana again. And you remember we had discussed that the Ramayana saves so many people from losing their lives. So when Bharat hears the voice of Hanumanji, he becomes so inspired that someone who's connected to Ram is here. And then Hanuman comes in front. Ram tells Hanumanji that when you meet Bharat and you tell him the news that I am coming, Ram told him, observe his eyes. Eyes don't lie. Your eyes reveal a lot. Right? That's why psychology is the science of studying the eyes actually of people. Because from the eyes you can understand the intentions. Ram tells Hanumanji, observe the eyes of Bharat when you're giving him this news that I'm returning. If there is any sort of hesitancy in the eyes of Bharat, 14 years is a long period, isn't it? In 14 years, people's intentions change, people's mindsets change, people's desires change, people's principles of life change. So Ram wanted to be absolutely sure that Bharat still wants him to come back. That he is not attached to the kingdom for the last 14 years. It's not easy to give up power, isn't it? It's not easy to give a position of control. And the best of the best people get stuck to power positions so badly. They don't want to give up their thrones. And Ram wanted to ensure that Bharat really wants him to come back. And Ram told Hanumanji, if you see even a little hesitancy in Bharat's eyes, just come and tell me, I will never turn back to Ayodhya. So when Hanumanji narrated the whole story to Bharat, and Bharat heard Hanumanji and Hanuman revealed that how Ram is just close by, Bharat's eyes were filled with tears of gratitude. So happy, so grateful, and so excited. Hanuman knew this person is really exalted and great. Hanuman reached back to Lord Ram. And when Hanuman reached back Ram, Bharata Muni had laid down a feast for all the Vanaras and all the people of Lord Ram's army to eat. And they were eating an elaborate feast. And that's when Hanuman came. And when Hanuman came, there was no plates left. So, everybody was wondering what to do and how to feed Hanuman. And then Ram called him. And Ram told him, you sit with me. So Ram made him sit right in front of him. So there was this leaf placed, banana leaf. And in front of the banana leaf, on the front, Hanuman side, on this side, Ram side. And between the leaf was there. And Ram used his finger and drew a line in between the leaf. Even today, you'll see the line in the middle of banana leaves. That's the line drawn by Lord Ram. That side of the line, Hanuman ate, and this side of the line, Ram ate. And that's the kind of love that they have towards each other.
Where is all this written? Shubhaji, where is all this written?
This particular part of the last part, the banana leaf part, is a folk tale. It is a Loka Praman connected to this story. The rest, of course, is the Varmik Ramayana.
Wow. So when we tell itihas, we'll have to tell what is coming from where.
Correct. Yeah.
Children will ask. Children will harass you. They'll ask you all kinds of questions.
Absolutely.
I think we may have to, in the end, after your session, have a question answer for 15 minutes at least. Like I'm asking you a question as a lay person.
Sure.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
तो ये कहाँ लिखा, ये कहाँ पढ़ा, कैसे पढ़ा, ये बहुत प्रमाण देना पड़ेगा. Because as an author, आप तो पढ़ लिया, आपने देख लिया, आपने समझ लिया, अब आप इतिहास दिखाएंगे. बहुत जरूरी है. तो ही फिर एकदम विश्वास पैदा होगा. मैंने भी देखा, मैंने भी पढ़ा. जैसे हम बुक का कवर दिखा रहे हैं ना, बुक का कवर दिखा रहे, ऐसे ही आप जो भी दिखा सके तो दिखाएं. तो इससे हमारा पक्का इतिहास होने लग जाएगा. ये तो अभी तक ये विश्वास पैदा करने के लिए प्रमाण देना होगा. तो बहुत होमवर्क कर लो. Yeah, let's do our homework. So when you prepare your lessons, then you link it with praman and show it. That means we may have to have a team which shows. So when you're talking, the screen gets divided into half and show.
Sure, we get that.
Lovely.
जी शुभा जी, जब हम आगे बढ़ते हैं just again clubbing two thoughts. When Lord Rama reaches and meets everyone, Lord Rama took off his bow and उन्होंने अपना bow and arrow he placed it at his guru's feet, at Guru Vashishta's feet. And I'm taking another part from, we're talking about Ram Rajya now, because that was a declaration of Ram Rajya. And how Bharata placed the Paduka next to Lord's feet. Ji.
The reason, so when Ram returns back to Ayodhya, the first thing he does is places his bow at the lotus feet of his teacher Vashishta, his guru Vashishta, because many reasons. One of the things that he wants to indicate to the world is the use of this bow is over. Now, Ram Rajya will not be uh, based on power, but it will be based on compassion. Any sort of rule that you do in this world, any sort of leadership that you do in this world, can be either a coercive leadership or an inspirational leadership. When leaders use Shastra as their main way of controlling people, it's not exactly the most ideal way of leadership. You need Shastra also. You need scripture, you need knowledge. And the scriptures teach us to be compassionate, to have an equal vision, to be impartial and to be loving towards everybody. And Ram, when he placed that bow down in front of Vashishta, at the feet of Vashishta, he was indicating that I have done whatever needs to be done to discipline people who are unruly. Now, I need to lead based on love. And that is the symbolic understanding of why Ram placed his bow at the feet of Vashishta at that point. The whole concept of leadership, which is love-based leadership, is a lasting leadership. It's a leadership which influences and touches hearts. Lord Ram, at this point in time, when he took shelter of his Guru Vashishta, he was indicating that this is the kind of leadership that I want to take up. Also, when the people of Ayodhya asked him, "How did you win such a big battle?" Ram gave a very beautiful answer. He told that I had two things to win against this war, which was like an ocean. So the army of Ravan was like an ocean, massive army. How many thousands and millions of people there? So Ram compared to the army of Rakshasas as an ocean. You can also compare that army of Ravan to be the anarthas or the vices that we have in our hearts. It's like an ocean, such a large ocean, endless. And how did Ram cross it? Ram says, I had a good boat. The Vanaras were my boat. The monkey army was my boat. And only the boat is not enough. You need oars also, right? To row the boat. And the blessings of my guru was the oars that helped me row this boat across the ocean. So then, what is the role of Ram? If the boat is the army and the oars is the guru's mercy, what is Ram's role? Ram doesn't claim any role in the victory. Ram simply says, these two people helped me win the war. The Vanaras and my Guru's blessings. Isn't this fantastic? Isn't this such a beautiful way of accepting and appreciating the contribution of people who are most important to you in your life? Isn't this such a grateful and such an honorable way of living life? Where Ram didn't take any credit of winning the war for himself. He gave all the credit to the people that that helped him, and he gave all the credit to the blessings of his guru, who was not even there apparently. this is what great leadership is. And this is what the basis of Ramarajya is.
Fantastic.
But I'm going to request you to just take us through few points. Time के वजह से.
I think we need to close it at this. It's a pinnacle of this. We need to close this with a beautiful message what Ram Raja is, Saina. Let's not stretch it. But I think we need to close this. It's a peak of this session. What is leadership? And he's defined what is Ram Raja. I personally think we've also crossed our time. But I was thinking, this is my view. Saina?
जी Shubha ji, we let the other aspects be then. There were just
Yes.
2-3 aspects.
There's no end to what he was saying, but I think it's just fantastic. What is finally the leadership? How is described the bow and the arrow? I think this is my feeling. Let's send this message finally to the listeners, and let us close and wrap up at this. This is my feeling.
जी, would you like to do a sum up?
I'm willing to do a sum up.
जी.
And I think it's beautifully summing up. Everybody wants to know what is Ram Raja, and he's done this. And remarkable definition of leadership. It's just amazing. Anyway, may I do the sum up? Because anyway, we are just be perfectly in time with our session. May I do this, Saina?
जी.
If I have your permission, Subhaji?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Well, there are lots of. It's been a satsang. आपने आज बहुत सत्संग किया है, बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुल सत्संग हुआ है, और बड़ी भक्ति का सत्संग हुआ है, बड़ी समझदारी का सत्संग हुआ है. And इस हमको ये today this is leading us to another goal, another journey. Hopefully, let's see what divinity, divine grace happens. I think you began by saying the heads are. We got several heads. We got heads are doubles and doubles, as they said. And you said change the root of bad behavior, because every head creates its own doubts. So heads are doubts. But if you want to improve, change the root of bad behavior. Second, when you help someone, you get a blessing in return. तभी आपको आशीर्वाद मिलता है. जब आप जैसे कहते हैं दुआ मिलती है. So कहते हैं जीते रहो या खुश रहो. That's when you do something good. That blessing. That's when what you get back is a blessing. Third is, he says that every single character in Ramayan is beyond self-interest. It sets the highest standards of daunting courage, daunting challenges. High because it's beyond self-interest. And he says sacrifices, if done over a few years, is impacting, not few weeks. But sacrifice which is done over a few years is impacting, and it is obviously in the end of Ramayan. That's the end of, because it's left the maximum impact, and that's the end of Ramayan. That's why I wanted to talk to you about the reaching the maximum impact was finally what leadership emerges from Lord Ram is where he puts the bow at the feet of his guru, and he gets the credit to the Vanaras and the blessings and the oars and the bow, and he says मैंने कुछ नहीं किया, मेरे पास बोट भी ठीक थी, मेरे पास चप्पू भी ठीक थे, और मेरे पास आशीर्वाद भी था, मैंने तो कुछ नहीं किया. And then also I like the simile where ocean, large ocean, he said, but ocean of vices, ocean of deformities, ocean of distractions, but he crossed over all that because that's what made him what he is. Energy, he says, is stuck, and that's why we have the Pitra doshas. He says energy must keep flowing. इसलिए Pitra dosh families में बहुत होते हैं वहाँ energy is stuck. He talked about that when relationships are smooth, energy is flowing. But that's why baat karo. Conversations within family, resolution and mediation is important for energy to flow, to get over the Pitra dosh. And Pitra dosh दूर करने के लिए लोग मथुरा जहाँ बनारस जाते हैं, वाराणसी जाते हैं और प्रार्थना करते हैं पितृ दोष दूर करने के लिए. And he said human life is not meant to carry forward resentments. सो इसलिए अगर ह्यूमन लाइफ अपनी डे टू डे चीजें निकालता जाए, रिलीज करता जाए मीडिएशन, which he says that's what human life is ought to be. Real monument, I love this. He said the real monument of love is the Ram Setu, not the Taj Mahal, because it was a monument of love, selfless love, and very courageous love, and an honoring love. So it is a real monument. This is an amazing statement. I do hope that this is picked up by for us as a snippets by Shivani. Then he says the real reward is acknowledgement, including passive supporters. All real acknowledgement is, don't forget people behind the scene, behind the support. That's what our team is, behind the support. We got Shakira, we got Shivani, we got Sumit, and we got Sujata. This is our team which is behind. The real acknowledgement when we say thank you, it's for all those who are not visible, but who are behind the scene. He said Ramayan is an ultimate strength, is an ultimatum of, it's an ultimate exposure of strong leadership, of sacrifice and gratitude. Then he says Ramayan is also a thriller. I love that Ramayan is a thriller. Let him establish this as he tells. And then he says, eyes do not lie. And leadership is of Shastra and Shastras and Shastra. But after that, and then it's love based on leadership. And then he says Ram Raja, in the end, gives credit to go, as he mentioned. And that is what great leadership is all about, where it gives and disseminates credit to others and considers himself as just an instrument which may have been made a role play. So I think it's been an amazing satsang given by Shubhaji. We're very grateful to him, and we hope. What do we plan to do next with this? With the next signer? What's your plan for next, for readers to know, listeners to know?
Shubhaji, we can take this book forward.
Yes.
We can
Roar
discuss.
with courage. Roar with courage. Right.
We can
It's the
take this.
first book of the Ramayan series.
Ha.
It goes through Balakand of the Ramayan.
Yeah. So it was Shubhaji that we could do chapter wise, explaining what this chapter as it is, so people will get to read the book alongside, understand the book.
Ji.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Shubhaji. We
God
take
bless.
leave. Yes, we take leave.
Thank you so much for
Hare
all your
Krishna.
time and energy you've given us.
Very grateful and honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the energy and time you gave us. Very
Hamari-
generous of you. Very generous of you. Really. Thank you.
जी, हमारी ऑडियंसेस का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. आपको अगले महीने फिर से मिलेंगे. जाते जाते, इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट चैंटिंग द नेम. अंदर झांकिए. द हार्ट नीड्स टू हैव द नेम. आपका आचरण नीड्स द नेम. इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट चैंटिंग द नेम. आपको मिलेंगे अगले महीने. जय धारी माँ. जय सिया राम. कृष्णा. जय धारी माँ.